everybody, and happy 2021. It's a Monday today, and it is our first session of the year. Today, we are focusing on our lower body strength and our core. For today, we are going to be using a couple things, specifically this chair right here. We have some split squats coming your way, some stuff like that. We will want to elevate our back foot. In addition to that, hiding under here, but you can't quite see them here, I have my 8-pound dumbbells and my loop bands. So literally all the exact same stuff as last year, although today and going forward through the next month, we do have some new exercises and new combinations to switch it up and keep your body, keep your mind guessing. But we're going to start off with a warm-up, no equipment involved, with our infamous bow and arrow to get us nice and loosened up, because you most likely have not done too much over the last few days, and that's completely fine because we're here right now. So come on down here, onto your mat, onto the floor, laying down on your side, all the way down. We're going to take our top leg and weave it underneath our bottom like this. Stack our arms and shoulders. Make sure we have a little bit of room in front and over top of us. We'll come across the body with this hand, trying to touch it down to the floor, and then we'll reach up and over our head into that bow and arrow, going through 5 of these per side, and oh, they feel so nice. Okay, we're loosening up the lower back, the hips. If you have room, we can extend this arm out completely straight up and around, but I don't quite have enough room, even though I kind of rearranged in here a little bit, as we are hanging out in my mom's house a little longer than anticipated. So we'll go through 5 on that side, and then we shall switch and go through 5 on the other side. So you can just flip around, turn around, go through those ones. Once you are finished, don't go anywhere, because we are staying down here for the next one, which is our 90-90s. So first off, in this position, we're going to get into it, which is our 90-90 position. We want 90 degrees at both of the knees. Bottom of the foot is in line with the shin, the hairball in the bottom of my foot, and we're going to lock the feet in place and flip the legs over back and forth. Just see how we're feeling in this one today. You might have to lean back a little bit with the use of your arms, but you guys know the drill. Okay, we've been doing this one for a while. Okay, I have to look into the exact date when we started doing this program, but you should be getting more comfortable in this. So we're going back and forth about 10 times total, 5 to each way. Once you're finished that, don't go anywhere, because we have a couple things that we're going to do in here, tapping into the mobility of our hips. The first thing is, again, after going back and forth, in theory, we're loosening up everything to do with sitting in this position. So once you've done that 10 times, we'll sit onto this one side, and we want to square off our shoulders with this knee here, and then we're going to take our hands and walk over top, the side, the outside of the leg facing down. Okay, we won't spend too long there, but you'll feel a stretch in this hip here. And then we'll come back up, and then now we'll turn and square our shoulders off with this leg. We'll walk forward. This one might feel a little bit more awkward, a little bit more tight. You don't have to go to where it's painful. We'll just work with whatever we have. And then we will flip and do that same thing on the other side. So again, we'll walk over here. We'll get a bit of stretch through that glute. We'll come back up. Again, we're not focusing on the stretch. We're trying to just warm up everything in that stretch. And then we'll do that on the other side. And then once you're done, we have one more in this 90-90. We're really going in on it today. So we'll flip back to the first side. Now this one really might get you. Okay, what we're going to try to do is get both of our butt cheeks on the floor, this foot down, this knee down. And what we want to do first is try to lift up just that knee. So we'll see if we can do that 5 times. Okay, just trying to wake up the muscles in our hips. Now this one is the easy one. Okay, the next one is the more challenging one. We're going to lock this knee down. Again, trying to get both hips down. Might not be completely down, that's okay. We'll see if we can lift up this foot. Okay, so it is way harder than it looks. You might even feel kind of crampy, like you have to kind of straighten out your leg, because we're using very little muscles that we do not normally use. If you cannot do that, like physically can't lift up that foot, we'll lean over this other leg like we did in the other one, and then we'll go through those, trying to get through 5 of those lifts, and then we'll switch and we'll do that same thing on this other side here, okay? So again, lifting up the knee and then lifting up the foot, and then we are standing up out of that 90-90 opposition. We got one more happening here. Good morning, Carly, happening. Okay, so we are standing up, you should be feeling looser. Where's my list? I knew we were doing those ones. And the next one we are doing is a squat stance. So we'll get you guys standing a little bit wider than our hips, toes slightly pointed out. We'll sit down into a squat. We're going to take our elbows and put them inside our knees, give a bit of pressure, and then we'll stand and lift those arms above our head. That's one, and we'll go through 10 of those total. So we're standing, lifting up the arms, get a bit of warm-up action in our shoulders and our upper body. And then we're applying this pressure at the bottom of the squat, trying to open up the legs using the elbows to apply that. So we'll go through those 10 of them, total 10, very nice. All right, so we have one more standing one, and then we are actually back down on the floor. So for this next one, we're going into a step back lunge or a reverse lunge. So we'll come to the front of our mat. We'll have both hands down by our sides. We'll step back into that lunge. At the same time, I'll start to turn in towards that knee, and then I'll stand and unturn, and then I'll alternate that. So I'm doing the other side, and then I'll go back to that first side. And we'll go through 20 of these guys total, 10 per side. So we do a lot of lunges. We do a lot of variations of lunges. Today I'm quite specific that I want you to step back and go into that turn at the same time, where other times I've had you go down, turn, reset, and stand up, whereas today we're looking for more of a fluid motion. All right, 10 per side, 20 total. Okay, so great work, my friends. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit warmer than when we started. We have 2 more movements, exercises that are all about activation, okay? And those last 2 are down on the floor. The first one, we're going to be working all about our core. The second one is all about our glutes, our glutae, the back of our hips. So we'll get through those lunges. Once you are done, we are getting down into a all-4 position because we're going to be working with a bear crawl. Now today, we're going to travel sideways or laterally in this bear crawl. So you'll want to make sure that you have some space to each side. So actually, I'm going to turn to this side when I do this, but I want to show you what's happening here first. We want to get into this all-4 position, shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. We're going to pop off the knees, so we're hovering off the floor. We want to take our opposite arm and leg. So we have to think about this a little. Left hand, right leg are going to move and step towards, and then away with the foot, and then we'll follow with the opposites, and we'll take those steps, the length of our mat, all the way down to one side, and then we'll walk all the way back down to the other side. Now, what we're looking for here is try and keep everything in your core, your torso, as still as possible, which is completely easier said than done on this one. This one is very challenging, especially when we're moving in that sideways action. And I'm asking you to really connect your hands and your feet. So we're getting that brain going too. So we'll go there and back 1 time, okay? 1 time the length of your mat. If you don't have room, you can just kind of step back and forth 5 times, that's okay. And then the last one, we are on our back. For this final one, which is our single leg hip bridge. So what we're going to do is lay on our back here in this hip bridging, hip thrusting position. We want to walk our feet so that they are very close, almost touching, knees touching. Lower back should be pushed tight down into the floor. And then we'll push our hips up all the way up to that top position here. Shift the weight into one leg. Other one will lift up here, and then we'll go down, touching the lower back, not the butt, and then drive up through this hip thrust, working one leg at a time, going through 15. Oh yes, 1, 5 over here, and then we'll switch and we'll do 15 on the other side. So you can start this one. Once you're finished that bear crawl, we'll go through those 15 on that leg, and then we shall switch and do 15 on the other leg. So we're looking for that feeling in your glutes, that working feeling, okay? Sometimes we have to think about it a little bit more. We've done this one a lot off of a chair, off the bench. You're not doing that today, good news. But this one, in theory, is a little bit easier off of the floor, but it's still extremely important that we get the hips all the way up to that top range, to that full extension position. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I'm warm. We are going to get you started on these first 2 exercises. Now, once you are finished that one down there, you can stand up, grab stuff, a little bit of water, okay? We're going to grab onto our loop bands, preferably a medium strength one. I'm going to be using this blue one here, which is like a 3 to go to 6, it's the medium one. A light to medium band is ideal for this exercise, and it's actually going to be the second exercise. Before we get into that one, I just want you to have that close. We're going to talk about this first one, which is, drum roll, a squat. So you guys are going to be working with squats for our first movement today. We're going to set you on a timer. So we're going to have 60 seconds to do these squats. Now, in terms of weight resistance, ideally, I want you to add some, okay? So I will be using my 2 8-pound dumbbells, loading them up here, working with these squats. We're going to talk about all sorts of ways to make these challenging. But you have 1 minute where we're going to be going down to 90, standing up to the top, going through these squats, 60 seconds, okay? Once we're done that 60 seconds, we will have 30 whole seconds of rest, okay? Complete rest. It's also transition time because the second movement is going to be a banded side step, okay? We're doing this a little more different than we normally do, so we're not going to quite get started on it until we are there, okay? Which is after our squats, which are going to start really quick here. I'm just going to make sure our timer is set. So get yourself set. So grab onto your weights if you have them. If you do not have dumbbells, again, you can hold a weighted household item, fill a bag full of books, something like that, or grab a band. You can put your band around your knees, and that also applies if you do have weights, if you simply just want to make it more challenging for yourself. Sorry guys, just 1 second here, my timer. My timer, I know it does this. Sometimes it just completely forgets all my routines that I put in. Okay, we're good. So we are going through this 4 sets total, starting off with these squats, and we are starting in 5 seconds. So get ready. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So we're working with these ones. Now, for some of us, depending on what weight you have, this might be challenging going at a normal tempo. So our normal tempo is 1, 2, 1, 2. 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. Not spending any time at the bottom or any time at the top. If we want to make this harder, what we're going to do is add more time on the way down or at the bottom. Okay, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and still keep that 2 seconds up, or we can sit down and hold. We know these pause squats are very challenging, and then stand up. Okay, so those are 2 options right off the bat that you can do right now that do not require any additional equipment, any additional weights. Okay, 10 seconds left. So this first set is really your testing. We're trying to see how we feel, see if we can make this hard. The next 3 sets, we want to be really feeling like we need to stop right now, okay, because you are done that part. So we're going to put those down and move on to our second part of this one, which is our side steps. So we need a band. Okay, if you don't have a band, that is okay, but ideally we do want a band around our ankles like this. We're going to come to one side of the mat, working with this side step, doing it in a zigzag fashion. So what I'm going to do is step this foot in front, and then in front, and then behind, and then behind, and then in front, following, behind, following. So you can follow along with me here, going through this, the length of our mat. Same rules apply as our normal side steps that we do on a regular basis. We want a strong setup, soft knees, push the hips back so we feel tight back here, and then hip width. We go wider and then hip width, wider and then hip width. But the only difference is we're going up and then we go down. All right? So you have 30 seconds left. Oh yes. So this is you traveling the length of your mat back and forth in these wonderful side steps. Again, if you do not have a band, I've talked about this one before, using a long band where we have it kind of wrapped underneath our feet. Or again, you can follow along with no band at all and just really be conscious of feeling tight in the back side. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and time. So that was our first set. We are doing it again 3 more times. And we do have this wonderful 30 seconds of rest in between each exercise, each set. Okay, we only have 15 seconds left before we start our second set, and we're back to the squats. Now, like I said, we should not be finishing this minute feeling like we could keep going. By the time you get to the end of this minute, actually at like 45, 50 seconds, you should be feeling like you really need to put whatever you're using down and stop squatting. Okay, so pick it up and let's start and see if we can make ourselves feel like that through this set. Okay, so again, maybe that is going a little bit slower on the way down. Every rep, trying to push the knees out. Be very conscious to stay tight in the legs. Okay, or maybe you have lots of weights at home. If you do have access to, multiple dumbbells and you can make something that's very heavy, you might not need to do that slow stuff or those pauses, because if you have like a 25, 35, 45 pound dumbbell here, that is going to be hard enough by itself, okay? But not all of us have that, which is why I'm very, very persistent on you guys slowing down and pausing. 10 seconds left. Okay, so we'll breathe through this. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Nice work. So that's our second set of those squats done. We are going to move on to those side steps. Now, these ones aren't necessarily meant to be the hardest thing in the world. What you want to feel more than, being extremely challenged by this is feeling that burning sensation in your hips. And so sometimes what we need to do to feel that more is simply think about it more, okay? Here we go. My computer is telling me it needs to be plugged in. I love the timing of that. There we go. Okay, so we'll go through these ones. Again, that setup is crucial, my friends. We have to soften out our knees and load up our hips by pushing them behind us. So they should feel tight before you even go anywhere. And then we start to work with those side steps, then coming up and then back through these ones. The arms in front of us, and we'll work through. Okay, you have 25 seconds left. Oh, yes. Okay, so again, looking through that burn. There we are. Okay, so we'll breathe through these ones. Couple more this way. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and time. Great work. Okay. Resting, taking off that band, grabbing yourself some, water, shaking it out. Okay, we are here. Our third set. Getting so close. Okay, we started in 10 seconds. All right, so grab onto your weights. And if you are adding the bands, around your knees, load those up. Okay, and here we go. Okay, so we're working through this 60 seconds of squats. Not worrying about how many reps we're getting, okay, but we are worrying about what we're feeling. Now, a lot of times, especially in our deadlifts, talk about the proper use of what you should be feeling when you should be squeezing your butt, okay? But you want to think about in these ones, the way down, you should feel stretching. When you get to the bottom, we want to squeeze and lift ourselves up with that squeeze. So we'll see if we can get that 20 more seconds right now, okay? And that is something that I cannot help you with. No one can help you with that. You have to do that yourself. We can talk about it. We can coach you how to do it. But at the end of the day, you have to think about it every single rep. 10 seconds left. And over time, it becomes more natural. You don't have to think about it as much, but if you don't, you're kind of missing out. Rest. Great work. Okay. Dumbbells down. We will move on to that next set of those side steps in that zigzag fashion. So you're feeling these should be a little bit more challenging than our normal side steps because we're tapping into different muscles than just the ones on the sides of our hips. And those ones we've been working quite consistently, so they should be feeling stronger, more used to this side step. So by going kind of forward, we're starting to use the front of the hip a bit, and then we go backward, Then we get the back of the hip. We're just involving more stuff, which is why you are probably feeling the way that you're feeling right now. But we're going to get through this set, and then we have one more. Both have done these ones. So that's great news. Okay, and this probably is obvious, but I will also point it out that the weight of your band, the strength of your band will influence how hard this is. So if you feel like you can't quite do this and you feel like you're kind of rocking all over the place, I would suggest grabbing a lighter band because you really don't need too much strength down there. Medium, light to medium. Oh yes, 15 seconds left. Okay, but whatever you're using, try to just keep on keeping on here until this timer goes off in less than 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and okay. Here we are. Last set of these two. Back to the first one, the squats, and this is going to be the last one, the last set of these squats today. We start in 10 seconds. Okay, so take a couple deep breaths. Grab onto whatever you are using to add your weight to this. And we are starting in 3, 2, and that's you. Let's go. Okay, so the entire set, again, we'll try to be conscious of what we're feeling in our legs. We're not just standing up and then squeezing at the top. Okay, we want to really focus on having that happen down here, and that is what is lifting us up. Especially because we're not, most of us don't have, we have probably 1 set or 2 sets of dumbbells, maybe even like 1 or 2 dumbbells total, like me. And so we really do have to think about other things, especially this mind to muscle connection, which is exactly what that is, that feeling of that contraction. 20 seconds left, okay? You got this? Let's do it. Just breathe through it, okay? This is when the exhale is going to come into play. Exhaling, pushing you up when those squats make you feel like you are so much heavier. You're almost there. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. Weights down. A couple deep breaths before we band up for our final exercise of this first superset. Okay, once we are finished these zigzag side steps, we are going to move on. Okay, to the next part, which means we're fully done this part, which is great news right now. Probably feeling quite worked from these two. Okay, but we have one more set, and it starts in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Okay, so we'll step forward and backward. Again, try not to step too wide. You just want to step a little wider than that hip width, and then reset in that hip width part. Okay, remembering not to come any more narrow, because as I don't have a band on me, when you do have a band on you, if you come any more narrow than hip width, you completely lose tension on the band. It goes loose like this, and so we also lose tension on our legs. We want to keep that there. All right, 30 seconds, keeping that there. So we'll try to hold it and drive the hips back. We got this. We do. Okay, 20 seconds left of these zigzagging side steps. Okay, we'll finish up strong. So we're almost there. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Nice work. Okay, so you can unband. Great job. We are going to move on to the next part here, which is our split squats. So I talked very briefly about those at the beginning, because I told you that you will be needing a chair. Okay. That being said, if you do not have a chair or something like this that we can elevate our back foot on, like so, you can always use a stair or a stool if you don't have access to like a chair like this, or you can just put your foot on the floor like this, okay? But we are working with split squats today, the nice low rep range of 8 reps per side, my friends. So for these 8 reps per side, tapping into that lower rep range means we're tapping into these strengths. We really want to challenge ourselves and not be able to do more than 8 reps, okay? So that means we want to bring out our equipment. I'm going to be using both of my dumbbells here. holding all of the weight on one side. So if you have one heavy dumbbell, okay, you can hold one here, or if you have two lighter ones, you can double them up like this. We're going to get ourselves into this split squatting stance here and work with 8 normal reps, okay, and just see how it feels with the weight we chose. If you don't have weights, you can put a band underneath the foot, hold it in the hand here, and add your weight that way. So let's start this up, going through 8, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, okay? Normal tempo. We'll just see how this feels. We'll do it on both sides. Okay, we know it maybe doesn't feel the best, but it's not the hardest thing in the world, most likely, working with the weight that you have. And if it is, then that's great, okay? But after you're finished, 8 and 8 per side, we are going to go right into one more set, okay? So get that done. 8 over that side, 8 on the other side, and then we are going back onto the first side, where we're going right into our first official working set, doing 8 reps. Now for me, 8 and 8, 16 pounds, split squat is not the most challenging thing in the world. So what I'm going to do is work with those same options that we talked about in our squats, where we can either slow down or pause. I would not suggest doing both. Pick one, stick to it the entire time. Okay, so I'm going to focus on that slow lowering. 1, 2, 3, and then I'll stand up. And I'm only adding 1 second, okay, to my normal 2 seconds, but it's going to creep up on me, all right? And if you want to add more time, you can. So we'll start this 8 and 8, okay? And again, we want to make that very challenging. Like, you don't want to do 9, okay? Maybe you could, but it would not be very pretty. That's how I want you feeling. All right. Okay. Great work, you guys. So we'll get that on both sides, 8 and 8. Once we are finished that one, we are going into a sumo deadlift. All right, our standard sumo deadlift, you have 12 reps total. Now, if you have dumbbells, we are going to hold them in front of us like this, okay? If you don't have dumbbells, you can hold a band in your hand sideways like this, or you can bend your knees and do a squat instead of a deadlift. But what we're going to do is soften the knees. We're in this wide set, toes pointed out stance. Soft knees, I'll start lowering by pushing my hips back, and then I'll bend the knees, and then I'll reverse that to stand up to the top. Now, the way these dumbbells are, I prefer having my palms face each other like this, just so that they sit in here without kind of pushing up against my knees like this. So we're working with 12 of these, okay? So again, hips back, 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 and then we bend so the hips sit above the knees, not like this, okay? We want the hips lifted, and then we'll pull them up into that deadlift, going through 12 of those total. Let's do it. Sumo deadlifts. I feel like it has been a minute since we've had these in the program, especially on a Monday. We were focusing on these for a very long time on Fridays. Woo! But here they are. Okay, so 12 of them. And if you don't have those dumbbells, you can hold a loop band sideways for a bit of tension in your upper body and feel a bit more challenging. And then we'll go through those 12. Woo! Now, once we are finished these, we're going back into the first one, taking about 30 seconds of rest before we do so. Because when we go back into these ones, we are doing, again, only those 8 and 8 per side. So we want to take a little bit of time here. We'll keep it under a minute, but about 30 to 45 seconds before we go into our second, third, and fourth set of these ones. Okay, so we have 3 more sets of these 2. So when you're feeling ready, again, after you've had a little moment there to take a couple deep breaths, shake out your legs, we will go into our second set, back to the first one, those split squats. Okay, so again, we're doing 8 of them per leg, trying to make them challenging, as challenging as we can for those 8 reps. Let's do it. And we are looking good for time. Awesome. Okay. Split squats. Never escape these. Okay. But they are, they could be a lot worse. The 8 reps per side, okay? And don't let that, make you just kind of do a wimpy 8. Okay? We want to be very challenged by this 8. And the more you can do that for yourself, the stronger that you are going to get in the split squat. So maybe you hate them a lot. Maybe you dread doing them. Maybe your body doesn't like them either. Okay, but if you do them, kind of low-key force yourself into doing them, especially this kind of stuff where we're really getting the strength going, you will get stronger. Okay, in time, you might still not like them very much, but you will get better at them, which typically makes us feel like things are more manageable. Okay, so that is my little spiel for you to get these split squats in. Okay, because you have 3 more sets. This one, 2 more, and we're pairing this one with our deadlifts with that sumo stance. Okay, so the deadlift is really kind of a 2-part situation, whereas the squat, everything happens at once. When we're squatting, okay, regardless of how we're holding the weight, our knees and our hips bend at the same time. So we kind of sit like this. Okay, we end up with this in line, our hips and knees in line, that 90-degree angle here, and that's a squat. Okay, whereas the deadlift, we want to separate. We want hips back first, okay, which loads up the hamstrings and the glutes, and then we bend the knees slightly to involve more of those muscles, and then we stand ourselves up. So we actually end up in that kind of hip lifted position here, rather than down in this position. So we'll really make sure that we are doing that. We're not turning this into a squat, okay? Because there is a method to my madness of combining this split squat and these sumo deadlifts. We're really going to hit these muscles, your glutes and your hamstrings, using these 2 different exercises. They work very well together, but that's why it's also important that we do take that little bit of rest, okay? So take it, then you can sit down, we don't get too comfortable, grab your water, and then we have 2 more sets to get through. And you guys are looking good on time. This one, I know our first few parts on this one takes a little longer. We have about 4 minutes until we really should be starting the next part, which is a little quicker. Maybe not. We'll see. Okay. So we'll get this set in. And we'll take our rest. When you're feeling ready, we will. A little bit of wrapping paper left over still. We'll start our 3rd set. All right. Back to our split squat. So again, if you do not have that bench, that chair, something to elevate your back foot, you can work with the same down and up. And trying to let those hips drive back. Going through the 8 on this side. Okay, but ideally, something to elevate your back foot is quite important on this one, because without it, we don't put of whatever you're holding, your weight, your body weight, goes on this glute. Whereas if it's down here, a bit more of it goes onto the quad. And we want to focus on the glute, which is why we want that back foot elevated. Okay, so if you have that as an option, you are using it. And this is why. Okay, 1 more set. This one. And then 1 more. Sounds good. Okay. Resting, breathing, starting that 3rd set. Okay. Nice work, guys. So we'll get through set number 3. We'll take a little bit of rest here. And then we have 1 more set to this part. Okay, so we'll give you about 2 more minutes here to finish up your last set. So we'll take this rest right here as we need it. Okay, for the next, again, about 30 seconds. You have time with it, because these split squats, I mean, they don't take that long. Okay, we'll finish up with our final set of 8 and 8 per side, and taking your time. Okay, don't worry about how much time that I told you that you have. I want you to finish this final set as consistent to those first 3 as you can, okay? And maybe those first 3, yes, they were hard, okay, but maybe they weren't like that hard. I want you to make this set really freaking hard, okay? Like you cannot do 9, all right? You would not want to do 9 or 10. Okay, 8 is it, and that's what we want right now. So do what you gotta do to make that happen for yourself. All right, so we'll finish up this final part here. Give you guys about 1 more minute just over that. We have 1 more part to our leg strength. Whoop, whoop. And then we are finishing off with some core work on the floor, on a timer. Woohoo. All right, sumo deadlift. So we have 12 reps total. We'll get those done. All right, once you are finished, we shall grab some water. We are going to move on to the last final part here, which will still require this chair. Random number calling me. I am going to start you guys off here with a new exercise, okay? So this new movement here is a variation of our single leg deadlift. Okay, we incorporated another version of it, our staggered stance deadlift. Today, we're going to be turning around and using our chair with that leg up on it to support this single leg deadlift, okay? So you gotta get yourself into position here. Now, if you don't have the chair, you can do this version that we learned last week, our kickstand deadlift. We've done it before, okay? And we really focused on it last day. And so we can work with this one. We want to add some weight to this, and you can use your loop band or your dumbbells. We'll be holding them in front of us, and we're going to start this off. Okay, we will be pairing this with an exercise, but we will talk about that once we're finished our first set, which starts right now. So we want this foot on here so that our legs are in line, okay? So the front of your legs should be in line, your quads, and you can look down and make sure that that's happening. Soft knee of the standing leg. All of your weight should be on this leg. This one's just assisting balance, and then we'll push the hips back, 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 back until the weights are below the knee, and then we'll pull the hips forward, and we'll work with 10 per side. So hips back and hips forward, working 10 reps total. And you can start right now. Let's do it. Okay, so again, if you don't have the chair, you can take the ball of your foot, put it next to the heel, and we work with the same rules, the hips back, hips forward, single leg deadlift, okay, but no balance. How nice is that? So let's get it 10 on this side, and then of course, 10 on the other side, of course. Okay, so we'll work this first set here. We are going to pair this one with a hip thrust. So we'll be also using this chair, your bench, your ottoman, your whatever you're using to elevate our upper back on a hip thrust. Now I'm going to be adding my dumbbells as weight to my hips like this, because we're only working with 10 reps total, okay? So we'll lower ourselves down, upper back is on that chair, weights ideally on the hips, hip width apart in the feet. We want to bring our ribs and pelvis, so we're doing a bit of a crunch right away, and then we'll drive up into that pelvic tilt, top of the range, as high as we can go, and we'll go down. As soon as those knees start to kind of drive back, we'll push back up to the top, okay? So go through 10 reps total, trying to squeeze, not leaving until you feel that squeeze. 10 of them, all right? If you don't have the weights, we can add the band around our knees, okay? And if you don't have the chair, then you are on your back on the floor, kind of like what we did in our warm-up, except with 2 feet on the ground, okay? So 10. Now, once you're done, these ones, excuse me, that one, we are doing this back to back. No rest in between. 3 more sets, okay? So we're back to the first one. The single leg deadlift, 10 per side of this supported single leg deadlift. Okay, 10 over here, 10 over here, and then we have that 10 rep hip thrust down there to combine this one with. Okay, so I'll show you guys from the front here. Is that gonna work? Yes. All right, so if you have 2 dumbbells, that's great. You can hold one in each hand. If you have only 1 dumbbell, you can hold either in both hands like this, or you can keep it to one side, which we know kind of involves a little bit more of the core. It's up to you and what equipment you have, but what's not up to you is that your legs are in line, okay? Because if your legs are not in line, you want them kind of hip width like this, you'll turn this into a split squat. It's very easy to kind of accidentally bend the knee. We want that knee to stay straight but soft, okay? So it's not, it does bend, it is bent, but it's not bending as we go through the movement. It just kind of stays bent the entire time. Okay, so I'll show you guys from the side. All right, so you go like this, and then hips back, and then hips forward, and then this leg just kind of hangs out, okay? And we could go through our 10 reps. Okay, and this is a butte, a glute-focused exercise, a hamstring, so you should feel this in the back of your legs, the back of your hips, both of them, okay? Especially when we do them together in this combination. So we'll get through 4 rounds. You've done your first one. You're on your second one right now. Okay, so we'll do this one. And we have 2 more to make it 4 total. And then we are going to be hanging out on the floor. We have 3 core exercises that we are going to do circuit style. We are done. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, but let's finish strong with these 2 movements so that we can get the most for our legs, our glutes, this session, okay? So back into our 2 movements again, our single deadlift and our hip thrust. Okay, 10 reps on each. Trying to really focus on your core, hips back and hips forward. Okay, this one can be very easy to do incorrectly. Okay, but if you do that, and if you focus on just sticking your butt out and then pulling your butt forward, it's foolproof. Okay, where it starts to get a little bit weird is when people think about kind of lowering down. That's when we get that rounding of our back. And then we start doing this, and now I'm repping. Every rep is working my back, okay? And if you ever finish like the training session, or, I mean, maybe this happens in real life, but you finish doing something and you just feel like worked back here, that is something that could have been happening. And I mean, it happens in real life, like when we pick stuff up, and it can be repetitive, it could be your kids, it could be gardening, whatever. We kind of round like this. We have a sore back, so we don't want to do that in here. We want to make sure we're moving through the hips, as this is a hip hinge. You want to hinge back and then hinge forward. No movement through the low back. If you ever have that feeling like you finish and you are so worked in your low back, maybe you were doing that, okay? Because sometimes that kind of stuff just happens. You know, our bodies, they like to make things as easy as possible. And that is something that your body might do, is try to involve the back to make it feel easier. Okay, and it's just going to land you with a sore back. And sometimes it's not like, you know, that stabby, sharp sore. It's just genuinely like worked, but it still doesn't feel great. And it's still not the focus. Okay, we want that genuinely worked feeling for your glutes, okay, not your low back. So we'll try to take that into our final couple sets here. We have maybe about 1, maybe 2 more, depending on where you guys are at. How to think about what you're doing there. Hip thrust. Okay, so we're going through again, 10 reps total. Optional band around the knees, optional weight on the hips. What's not optional is getting all the way up. Okay, if you cannot get all the way up, we can put our back on the floor rather than on the bench or chair, whatever you are using. All right, so we'll finish up strong here. This is most likely your last set. Okay, you might be on your second last one. We have about 3 minutes until we really should be starting the last part. Okay, which I will set for us right now. Okay, perfect. 3 minutes until I should be pressing start on that timer. So we have lots of time. Surprisingly, I knew that this last part was a little quicker. Okay, so we'll take our sweet time with this final set of these 2. Okay, especially that hip thrust, all right? The deadlift, this one's a little new to us. So your body still might be kind of figuring it out. You should feel it, okay? But the hip thrust, we have been there before. We are there every week, sometimes even twice a week. We do variations of hip thrusts. And today is just a standard one where you're doing 10 reps. So we want to ensure that we're feeling all those reps. We're getting the most out of this set of this hip thrust because it can be a very basic exercise and it can be super easy, okay, especially for some of us because we are strong. We have been training with way heavier weights than we have right now, okay, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that feeling that you're creating. So we'll try to get that going on in this last set, okay? So don't leave the top of the reps if you feel your boots tight, and that is a rule that always applies, whether I say it or not, okay? And I give you these kind of time frames. I talk about, you know, it should be done in a minute, whatever, but if it takes you a little longer, that's completely okay, because I prefer that, and you get more out of the set than you to rush through it because that set can be done in a minute, okay? You know, I always kind of like to chit-chat a little between these exercises anyways, so don't stress if you, push a little longer, all right? So we'll finish up our final set here. We have one more part, my friends, and it is on the floor, and it's all about our core, okay? So for this last part here, we don't need any equipment. I had to double, triple check. It is a body weight circuit, but we do need space. So what we're going to do is clear out all of the stuff that's in our way, starting off with this chair, okay? And including our bands and our dumbbells, so we don't trip on them. And we are going to be finishing the last part, hanging out down there on the floor, working off of that thing, the timer, okay? I'm gonna keep you, that's a weird angle, but that's okay. It'll be okay once I'm down there. All right, here we are down here. So hopefully you're feeling good. Your legs are worked. We are going to move on. This final part here, we have 3 exercises we're going to be working off of this timer, which is set for 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So we'll have 20 full seconds of time between each exercise, between our rounds. We have 4 sets total, okay? So we're going to start off with this first one, which is on our back. We've done different versions of this one, but not quite like this. We're going to lay on our back with our arms up and our legs, so we are like all the way down, okay? We want our hands a little wider than our shoulders, our feet a little wider than our hips, and we're going to reach across towards that hand, bringing that hand and foot together, alternating sides for this 40 seconds, okay? So this is going to be us, so lay down here, come on down here with me. Most important thing is that your low back is tight into the floor, okay, which is definitely a little harder than it looks on this one. So I'm going to press start on this timer. We are going to go in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so we will keep our head down. As we come up, the neck and the head will lift up. So we want to bring this opposite shoulder, but this hand will stay down. And then we'll reset. I'm just going to scooch down a little bit here. I don't quite have enough room. And then we'll come over to this side. So between the rep, my head's down. And then as I come up, it comes off because I need that shoulder to come off the floor. Okay, so we're working through this one. 15 more seconds, okay? Exhaling as we bring them together. 5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Nice work. Okay, so flip over, come and join me in this all 4 position. Now for this next one, this one's going to really help us get better and improve our bear crawls. Okay, what we're going to do, whether you like it or not, we are going to pop off our knees. You can start when the timer beeps, and we'll be reaching left hand away, putting it back, right hand away, putting it back, left foot, putting it back, and then right foot. And then we'll go back through that again. Hand, hand, and the further away you reach, the harder. But we have to maintain that nice, strong position through our core and hold that off knee. You'll find that maybe it's harder to move your hands than it is your foot. Okay, if it's so hard that you can't keep it stable, just work with something where you can maintain that stability because it's very important. And then everything else will come in time. Okay, you'll be able to move your hands, move your feet, whereas now you might have to take it a little slower. Okay, rest. Woo! Last one is a plank hold. Oh yes. Oh yes. Now in this plank hold, we're going to be on the forearms with our forearms parallel like this. In the plank, 40 seconds, we have to hold the plank, okay? If you're good there, what we're going to do is lift the leg one at a time, trying to get a good squeeze on our glutes, driving our heel up like this, and holding this plank while we work these leg lifts, okay? If we cannot do that, we'll just hold the plank. Okay, that's the most important part. Just combine those words, is that you are maintaining some form of a plank. Okay, 15 seconds left. Oh, let's go. Finishing strong here. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, nice job. So we're on our back again, like literally sprawled out, laying down on our back, going through our second set of these ones. So like I said, we have 4 of them, and that was our first one. So we'll go through 3 more, and they start right now. So we'll get going in that next set, and trying to push that low back down. Exhale, as you bring it together, keep that opposite hand down on the floor. It's going to want to lift, but we're going to try to keep it down. And we'll just lift the leg as high as we can while keeping it straight. Okay, so again, you don't have to touch your hand and foot. We're just trying to go in that direction. Some of us might be able to. Some of us, it will never happen, no matter how much you stretch. It just won't happen. Okay, so just work it with that straight leg. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, rest. Great work. Okay. Flipping over. Flipping over. Now, I don't want to say this one's the hardest, but I think it's the hardest. Maybe the plank holds the hardest because it's last. Okay, but this off-knee position, this can be extremely challenging, especially if you really are keeping everything tight and stable. And especially if you don't do this one that often. Okay, so we'll go here, and we'll try to reach and just a tap each limb away from the midline. Okay, it doesn't matter what order you go. You can do your hands and your feet. You can go around in a circle. Okay, maybe that might help you kind of distract yourself a little bit too, is having something else to kind of think about. 15 more seconds though, staying as tight as you can, trying to pull your belly button in, not shifting. You'll feel it. Okay, you'll feel when it's happening, you'll feel when it's not. So it's really hard. 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay, plank position. The leg lifts. All right, so take a deep breath. This one is probably much more challenging than it looks with these leg lifts here. That being said, if you want to make this hard, okay, because it's only 40 seconds, here we go. What I want you to do, we'll lift the leg and then reach it out to the side. Lift and then reach, rather than just lift. Okay, so you can try that out if you would like. Just transition to plank to sitting. If you would like, you have 20 more seconds here. Okay, we have 2 more sets. Done. Done, done, done. All right. 10 seconds. You got this. We're driving the heel up. 3, 2, 1, and yes. All right. Woo. So take a couple deep breaths. Here we are on our 3rd set, our second last one. However you want to look at it. We are almost there. Okay. Get on your back. We start in 5 seconds. This opposite crossover crunch. Ready, set, and here we go. Let's do it. So this set here, we'll try to think a little bit more about pushing our back down, specifically when we are reaching for those opposite limbs. Okay, it's kind of that simultaneous motion of exhaling, back down, and going through the motion of the exercise. I'll try to do that every rep. Not only is that going to get you the most out of it for your core, but it's going to help you keep breathing. It's very easy, especially in core work, to kind of hold on to our breath. But that does not do us any good. If anything, it just makes things harder. So keep it flowing here. 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right. All right. We have to do that one more time. Not too bad. Okay, so let's flip over, hands and knees, starting in 10 seconds. Are you ready? Well, ready or not. 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So we'll work with and trying to stabilize. Okay, keep everything in here as still as we can. right? Breathing through these. We have 20 seconds left, which means we're halfway through this one. Okay, trying to finish strong here. I know you're getting tired, but you are almost there. And this one in all of them. Okay, but this one's done in 3, 2, 1, rest. Okay, plank, and then one more set. And we are all done. All right, plank position. So again, very important that you hold a plank, some kind of a plank. For some of us, a normal plank is going to be extremely challenging right now, okay? Ready, and go. Here we go. Just because of the dynamic of this combination of these 3 exercises, we've got core, on core, on core. So the first 2 movements that we do, that crossover crunch, that off knee with the reach, that is making this plank right now that you're in right now way harder than it would be if you hadn't had done that stuff before, okay? So you have 15 seconds, and I need all of you to hold a plank. If you can do that, then that is extremely impressive, and that's all that I need from you, okay? If you can keep the leg lifts going, amazing. But just hold the plank. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and now you can stop. You have 1 more set, and then you can stop, like be all the way done. Okay, but we're going to get this final set in. This is the last one. Okay, back to this first one. The crossover crunch. Okay. Just take a deep breath. Let's do it. That was your starting beat. We will waste no time. We'll try to get going right into our last final set of these ones. Because this is it. The last set of these 3. Okay, you're halfway through this one, 20 seconds left. Okay, try it again. Use that breath. It is your power. It's going to help you get through this. Get through the reps. You got this. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay, flip over. Next work. We're going to flip over onto those hands and knees. Woo! We got Lexi right here. Come on, Lexi. We're on good terms now. I used to have to lock her up, but we've been good recently. She's just a little snory, that's all. All right, here we go. Off the knees, and we'll try to tap the dog, tap the wall, okay, tap the floor, whatever it is. We'll work through this one. Final set. Okay, we have 25 seconds left. You guys got this. Okay, so just breathe and focus on keeping those hips still. All right, and just get through this. 15 more seconds. You are almost there. And we know you can do it. Okay, 10 more seconds. Pushing yourself. All right. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, final one, the plank. Probably the hardest one. I think I can say that. Also because it's the last one, all right? Your body, your brain, we're all pretty much done here, okay? But I want you to just tap into whatever you have left, and we'll get through this 60-second plank, or sorry, 40 seconds. Look at that, 40-second plank, and it starts right now. Okay, so again, very important that you hold the plank. Try to work with those lifts, all right? 40 seconds. I mean, we've held 60-second planks. So I know you can do it, all right, especially for the 40. So we'll try to work with those leg lifts as best we can here. 20 seconds left. Okay, no matter what you did on your first 3 rounds, I want you to see if you can kick your heel up, all right? Keep your hips down, core tight. Add them in, 10 seconds left. See if you got it. I think you can, even if it's a couple. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are done. Woo! Amazing work. So what we're going to do right now is go into a quick stretch down here since you are already here, and it's going to feel really good after what you just did. Okay, so we'll get back into that all 4, staying down on our knees, don't worry. And we'll go through this cat-cow here, where we're rounding our back and arching our back. If you be any more in the way. And we'll go through this about 3 to 5 times, where we push our ribs down, and then pull our spine up, tucking our chin, looking up to the ceiling. Okay, 3 to 5, and then when you're ready, we'll sit on our heels, walk our hands away from the body, and you can hang out down here for about a minute and just stay down in that child's pose position. Okay, it's a great one to help, again, loosen up your glutes, your backside, so you do lots of stuff back there, as well as our lower and upper back, which also just feels nice. Okay, so take your time down there. There are 2 other stretches that I will specify that I would request you to do today, okay, but I will leave you guys on your own for the stretching. So if you're still in that one, or if you want to join me in this one, whatever, just watch your screen here, because hip flexor stretch, I mean, you probably saw this coming, okay, but this one is very important to do. We did lots of stuff to work the hips, from the leg strength work to the actual core work that we did. So we will take some time here to stretch out those hip flexors, okay? I like this half kneeling one, but if you want to do the standing one, pick your poison, all right? But we'll hold this for 60 seconds per side, and definitely be sure to do something today to stretch out those hips. The other thing that I would highly suggest you stretch out is your glutes, your backside, okay? So I like this one the best, where we find ourselves a wall. I don't have a bookcase here, oh my goodness, you're so close. And then we can bend that knee up and hang out right here in this stretch. Okay, so same thing here, 1 minute on this side, and then we'll switch and you can do 1 minute on this side, and then you will feel much looser in the back of your hips. She's actually standing on my hair. Okay, you guys are done with me. Thank you so much to Tanis and Dave and Carly for joining me in the Zoom room. You guys rock. Yay! Happy January, and happy me wearing my contacts again, if nobody noticed. I'm so excited, I'm not wearing glasses anymore. Anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you feel good and have a great day. And if you did watch the replay, please drop a comment so I know you're here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.